I am associated with CAFOD, and I often say that I find it much easier to talk about third world needs than I do about home needs. And that's because, well, a lot of reasons, isn't it? The first one is that the third world gets all those photographs, pictures on television and so on, and it's very clear. And the third world doesn't have benefit systems or pension schemes and things like that, and people know that, and therefore they respond. And I don't think the Jubilee debt thing was a total disaster, by the way. Very good things came out of the Jubilee. I was in Rome for 3 weeks recently with African bishops, and some of them were thanking God for the good things that came out of that, even though it didn't live up to all that everybody wanted for it. But when you come home, well, let's start. We've got at least 2 national newspapers that talk about benefit fraud and all these other things, and that sinks into people. They talk about people either getting too much out of it or not getting enough out of it because they're not up to getting enough out of it. There's a whole psychological thing there. And they don't really believe that in this day and age there is genuine poverty in this country. And I'm not talking about rich people. Well, rich is a relative term, isn't it? I'm talking about the general people who are on a good living wage at the moment. They either don't recognise the poverty that is around them, because there are all sorts of buffers that we build around ourselves to protect ourselves from seeing and recognising the poverty that is there. Or they just don't want to know because it's safer to sit inside a citadel that doesn't recognise other people's need, because other people's need will actually make demands on me. So I'm sorry to have to say this, but I always say this to CAP. I think that CAP has got to do for the home poverty what Christian Aid, CAFOD, Oxfam and so on have done for third world development. And we've got to have a sustained campaign. On a small scale, those poverty hearings that we've had all over the country, they have been powerful because people have spoken out of their own experience of what it is to be poor today. I was a small boy in 1945, and I remember how poor we were in 1945. I remember the choices we had to make, whether we could go to school dressed properly or have food at home and all those sorts of things. To hear people say that they're making the same sort of choices today, 60 years later, is absolutely horrendous. But unless people hear that, they won't recognise the poverty that surrounds them. So I don't envy CAP, but thank God for CAP on behalf of the churches leading us into that sort of campaign of awareness of deep, deep poverty all around our own country.